Craig, the Winnipeg Jets have had an incredible season. One of the best teams in the NHL, one of the best goalies, one of the best defensive records. They are fantastically positioned to go deep in the playoffs. So the one big question is, what would be the most impactful add this year for the Jets?
Well, I think that the Winnipeg Jets have already made a nice, impactful move in the acquisition of Sean Monahan. Player that can play on your second line, help you on the power play. Rick Bowness said he has come as advertised, but that's one step. The next step for the Winnipeg Jets, the blue line is fine, a top defensive team in the league, but if they could find a winger to play on their second line, some scoring ability, a little bit more weight, a little bit more speed that could complement Monahan, because right now when you have Ehlers and you have Perfetti, not big bulky guys, and if you're an opponent, that's an area where you might feel you can gain advantages on the Winnipeg Jets. So if you're trying to be consistent with your group in terms of making it hard on opponents, that's an area that I would look at, Mike.
Yeah, and given how well they played defensively, you can't very well say, yeah, go get Tanev. Like, yes, that would be nice, but they don't really need Chris Tanev. Maybe a Nick Seeler on the back end. You're basically looking at depth at this point. A guy who can shuffle in and out depending if there's an injury or not. Maybe give you some more good play. If there is one, the deeper you go. Yes, I mean, you look at their top four wingers. They got Kyle Connor, they got Gabe Vilardi, they got Cole Perfetti, they got Nick Ehlers. Four really good players. Who's going to get a bump? But they're all similar. So you mentioned Tarasenko. What about a big guy like Anthony Mantha? Take a flyer on him out of Washington. Yes, he can be inconsistent, and he wouldn't out-supplant those guys necessarily game one, but he offers you something different. At this point, Winnipeg is so good, so deep, well-positioned. You're just kind of nibbling around the edges, but maybe offering a different style of player might be as important about adding more goals or more skill to the lineup.
Well, and stylistically, as you go into the playoffs, where you can make yourself a little bit stronger, a little bit harder to play against, and the walls become a real critical area come playoff time. So if teams can push you back and control that wall area against some of those smaller forwards, it makes you a little bit more vulnerable. So Anthony Mantha, yeah, he can be a little bit inconsistent, but you're not asking him to be a frontline player. Tarasenko, you're not asking him to be a frontline player. But because of their physical builds, because of their ability to score goals, like Perfetti, like Ehlers, like Connor, they now add a different element, that size, that weight element, which when you're trying to grind into the playoffs, you're trying to go deep into the playoffs, you need some weight, you need some heft. And I think that that is the one area that could really give the Winnipeg Jets just a little greater strength to be a little bit harder to play against come playoff time.
The reality for the Jets is that they are so good, the players that are out there and available are not going to make a really significant difference to this roster. So don't expect them to pay the premium it would take to get those frontline trade bait top players on their roster. At this point, they're just trying to nibble around the edges, make themselves as complete, as deep, as ready to go for a 2-month run. And that's the good news because the Jets are preparing to go deep and they don't have to do too much.